I will confess, Brother Gary, that I may have been the leader of the defection this morning. You know, God blessed me with a strong voice, and sometimes it's not good. So when I saw the next slide come up, the first slide of that song, I started singing. So anyway, so I'm throwing Kendall on the bus now, aren't I? I'm glad we sang that song twice. It was good. It's a good song. Today is my great privilege to introduce some of you, at least, to a new ministry, new to you perhaps. I have been acquainted with the work of Show Me Christian Youth Home since my school days. I don't remember exactly when Show Me began, but I think I was around when the Show Me ministry began. I'll be interested to hear Chris this morning. Maybe he has a little history about that, I don't know. But at any rate, I have been acquainted with this ministry for decades, and they have been faithfully serving families and for all of these years. And it has grown. God has blessed this ministry tremendously, and we wanted to give our church family an introduction and awareness of this ministry. Last fall, for the open house, which they do every year, Sarah and I both were privileged to attend. And Sarah's not able to be here this morning, but she was very impressed with what she saw over at Lamont, the main unit of Show Me Christian Youth Home. So I'm excited that we have families together today. And if everybody wanted to come into this room, I know Chris would like all of the kids in here, all of the young people in here, because he has some special things planned for the kids. So if you can sort of come into this room, that'd be great. If you want to stay out there, that's fine too. But I want you to all welcome my friend and your new friend, Brother Chris Rhunke, who will tell us about Show Me Christian Youth Home.
Well, good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
I guess my wife is right. One of my gifts is a big mouth. So, as you said, my name is Chris Rhunke, and I am with Show Me Christian Youth Home. By show of hands, how many of you have ever heard of Show Me before? Okay, a couple on there. Show Me Christian Youth Home began in 1967, and it began like most missions. Some people, some Christians within the community, the Spirit laid a burden on their heart. And they looked out in the community and they saw kids who were struggling. Kids who didn't have the same upbringing, the same structure within a family, the same chance to know Christ. And they said, if nobody steps into their life, what chance are they going to have? We can't do nothing. And so they gathered together and began praying and sent out a letter to a number of different churches across Missouri and individuals and said, this is what the Spirit's put on our hearts. If you feel like you are supposed to be a part of this, please gather with us. Unanimously, the group, the churches, the 35 churches, I believe it was, and over 100 individuals said, we want to do something. We can't do nothing. But they didn't get together and here's the 10-point plan and this is exactly what they're going to do. They began gathering resources and praying. And a farmer came forward a little while later, Mr. Mahan, and he said, you know what? I have these 28 acres. It's raised good crops. It'll raise good children. He gave what God had given him to this open field. And another church, they had a mobile home and they drove it out and put it there. And another family whose heart was to kids and raising kids and trying to show the love of Christ to them came out, and they were the first family and literally opened the doors from that. And that love expanded on into what we're going to talk to you today about Show Me. But to begin, and I did ask on the kids in here, and I have to apologize to all of the adults because with kids here, that's where my heart is. So my focus is kind of going to go that way too on it. Of the kids, I'm going to need a volunteer. Is there anyone out there who might be willing to help? Oh, yes. You, sir, what is your name?
Cameron.
Cameron. All right. Cameron, how old are you, sir?
And my birthday's next month. I'll be 11.
Whoa. You think you're going to make it till then? Is he he acting good enough? You think he's gonna make? I better clean that room if I were you. I don't know on there. Now, Cameron, I heard that you and Kathleen have a special relationship. Is that true? He's like, I can neither confirm nor deny that on there. Yes. Caffeine is one of my favorite things on that. And you know how I really like to have my caffeine? Coke. Do you like Coke? Have you ever had it?
Yes.
Oh, Mom, if he's really good, and it's a small can on there, might he have a chance at? So you've never had Coke before on it, or not very much?
Not that much.
Not that much on there. Is there anybody here who likes Coke on it? Oh, her eyes are, man, why didn't he pick me on that? What's your name, ma'am? What is it? Haley. Haley, what is it about Coke that you love? Sugar, yes, the next best thing on there. Well, if I was going to ask you guys, what is a brand? Do you guys know what a brand is? A brand. Anybody? Yes, you, sir. No, it's okay, Mom. This is part of the reason I wanted the kids to be a part of it. You'll be totally honest with me. What is a brand? Brand is like a type of truck or a car, a specific thing, right? And you know that, right? Do you have a favorite kind of truck or car? What is it? What was it? What kind of truck is it? A Dodge. And what is it about a Dodge? It has a certain feeling to it, right? That ram, right? Loud. And then get in there so powerful, right? See, a brand, there are different things on a brand. Any farmers here or ranchers know on a brand? Anything on that? If you have lots of animals, and you put all the animals together, how are you going to know? Right? You count the freckles, right? This one has 10 freckles. That must be mine, right? How would somebody know? Well, they took, they made a mark on it, right? And they put that mark on the animal so that even though they were together, whether it was the shepherd with his sheep or, with the cattle, that they could separate them so they would know whose is who, right? And you would know it by that mark. Now, Coke, right? We know Coke, super good, right? All that sugar, all that caffeine. He's like, I don't know. I've never, I don't get this yummy stuff.
I'd rather have orange soda.
You'd rather have orange soda. Oh, gotcha. Well, so a lot of people on what they love about Coke is, that sweetness, the fizz on it, right? Your mouth's watering a little bit. You might want to wipe right there on the. No, it's okay, right? And so when you think about that, it's just that you could barely have. Mom said it was okay to have, so here I will. Oh, he's like, I don't know on this. So here you go. Here is that. You said you liked orange better, right? So there you go. You sure you want to drink that? Well, how about you? It's the new Coke, right? No, it's not the new Coke. You don't want this, right? And if I took another can and I opened it and this yellow-green gunk came out, would you want anything to do with what I had to offer you? No, right? Because what you were expecting when you heard of this brand, what you've been told of this brand, all that sugar goodness, the caffeine, all this stuff. But what you get is this, right? Now, Mom said you could have it. You can try it later on there. Tell me your name again.
Cameron.
Cameron. Give Cameron a round of applause. Thank you, Cameron, for being up here. You see, do you know what the greatest single cause of atheism in the world today is? It's Christians. It's Christians who talk about the Bible and tell all these wonderful things about God and the Bible and all of this stuff. But when they walk out the door, they proclaim Jesus with their lips before. But when they walk out the door, they deny him by their lifestyle. What the world sees, what other people see, isn't the goodness of God, but the yucky nastiness. And it's not surprising that then the world's like, I don't want any of that. Now we talked about part of a brand, like with Coke. To the kids, how do you know a Christian? How do you know if somebody's a Christian? What is the brand of a Christian? You know, if God is who he says he is, then show me. What is the brand of a Christian? How would I know somebody's a Christian? Yes, you, sir. Oh, but actually, if they pray, right? So if the person who prays the most, that would be a Christian. Yeah, what else?
To risk their lives to go and tell the gospel and save other people's lives.
To sacrifice, right? To try to go and help and save others. You know, sacrifice is one of a way to show that. What else? Maybe they have to have those Christian church, you know, or WWJD bracelets, right? That's what a Christian is. Or you have to listen to Christian music, or they need to know the scriptures, right? That's how we tell a Christian, right? You know, Jesus, when he came, he had these Pharisees and these other religious leaders, and they tried to make everything super complicated, right? God said, here are these 10 commandments. If you love me, you'll obey these 10 commandments, right? And the Pharisees took them and they made 613 rules out of that, including to make it more complicated. But Jesus, he came and he simplified it. What's the brand of a Christian, adults? Anybody? Well, let's go to when Jesus, his commandments. One time they were asking Jesus about that, and they said, what's the greatest of commandments? Because they were trying to trick him. You see, because whatever he said, they were going to be like, well, why isn't it this? So there'd be no right answer, right? They got Jesus. They tricked him. But do you know what he did? He said, well, you know the commandments. He said, love the Lord your God with what? All your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and your strength. And what else? Love your neighbor as yourself. Yes, you, sir. Love the people who are bad and forgive them. That's right. And last week, you guys we celebrated the biggest, act of love there was. And what was it? What did we celebrate last week? Yes. Wow, you're getting ahead of me on stuff, but yes, we celebrated Easter. And before Easter, there was this special time where Jesus was having this last time to talk with his disciples. And it was go ahead, shout it out again. Where was it? The Last Supper, that's right. And he calls all his disciples up to this upper room, guys. And you know what? He says to his disciples this. He goes, children. He calls them children. If you look at the translation in John 13, that's what it means. He was calling on their attention. And he says, a new commandment I give to you. Love one another as I have loved you. In this way, the world will know that you're my disciples. You're right. Right before that, he washed their feet. So if Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And what are we supposed to do in the new commandment? Kids can shout it out, what? Love one another as what? God has loved you as Jesus has loved you. So, this brand of the Christian can be summed up in one word. What is that word? Everybody? Love. Love. Right? How many adults, when you hear, what's the most important thing? What are we, supposed to? Love. How many roll your eyes? When I first heard on that and think of it, I roll my eyes because what does the world say is going to change everything? Love. Right? And if you're feeling down and other things, what's going to make it better? Love. But you see, the world's love, what does that look like? Well, it looks like that beautiful 18-year-old girl. Her hair is blowing in the wind, right? She's got the locks, the golden locks, and the rosy cheeks, and she just is there in her spring dress, and she's looking across the field, and she's running to her love, right? And it's this big manly man, right? He is a bush with lots of muscles, and he is running to her, right? And they're gonna go and they're gonna embrace, right? That's what the world's love looks like, right? But what is this love? Is this the love that Jesus is talking about? No. You know what God's love looks like? That guy's running to that girl, and all of a sudden he trips. And he breaks his neck. And he's paralyzed from the neck down. And we go 60 years forward. And that beautiful girl with the golden locks that are going, she doesn't have those anymore. They've faded away. And she's sitting there, and she's spoon-feeding that once young man. And she's been taking care of him and bathing him and everything because he can't do it himself. She has sacrificed parts of her life to care for him. That is what God's love looks like. Not because you have to. Not because, it's the easy thing to do. But a love that endures, a love that goes on. The world's love says, what can I take? God's love says, what can I give? Why is love this brand of a Christian? You see, as I said before, the greatest single cause of atheism in the world today, Christians acknowledge Jesus with their lips, walk out the door and deny him with their lifestyle. How does the world know who Jesus is? It's by us. It's by what's reflected out to them. If God is who he says he is, then show me. You see, I can tell you about the hundreds and thousands of lives of kids that have come through Show Me since 1967 and the lives you've changed, and the ones that have gone on that they've broken the cycle and they're now having healthy families. And I can tell you about how many meals have been served or how many nights kids have slept or other things. And we can show all of that. But what is the testimony? What is the most important thing? It's that it's not some giant government. It's not some nameless corporation or other things that has to. It's individuals like you that are giving up something so that kids you may never know have that chance. You see, the most important thing, one of the most important things about this brand of love is it is the proof of God. So I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. Second thing, why is this God's brand? Well, you see, the thing about love is it can be shown in so many different ways that a person understands. If somebody is hungry, how can they know God and be shown God and be shown that they're cared for? By feeding them. Somebody doesn't have a home and is afraid, by giving them shelter. Somebody who feels alone, somebody who comes by and talks to them. Whatever that need is at the time, the thing about God's love is it meets that need and it shows them in that way. But it's especially important for kids. If I ask a young person, and I told him, well, there's God, and He's all-knowing, and He's all-powerful, and He's all around, and you have a young child, you know what they do? They look at you and go, but where is He? I can't touch Him. I want to see Him. I want to hug Him. Can I hug God? You see, before a child is 12 years old, they can't understand abstract concepts. If I talk to a child about, did you know God's your refuge? Do you know God's your healer? Do you understand that? But what's your name? What is it? Evelyn? When you get hurt and you have a boo-boo or you get a cut, who do you go to help heal you? Your teacher? Anybody else that you might go to? Like if you're at home and you fall off your bike. Your mom and dad, right? And let's see. What's your name? Michael. When you need something, you need clothes, or you need food, who do you go to? Mom, right? Dad. You see, to a child, your parents, mom and dad, they're the role of God. They're the healer. They're the provider. They're the caretaker. This is all part of God's design within that family that brings in for you to understand these bigger concepts. And then even wider with the church family to understand it's not just by blood, but by the acceptance, by, again, this love that you can be made whole, that you can go on to more. Show me, we have kids that come in and somebody asks, do they have to believe before they come in? No, absolutely not. In fact, a lot of them struggle with the idea of God and this loving, caring God. Because as one girl, she came in and she was 12, 13 years old. She came in and she goes, don't talk to me about a loving, caring Heavenly Father. Because God is real. He is who you say He is. Why did I have to go through the things in life that I did? I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. Okay? You do not have to believe in a certain way to come in. How are you going to convince a young person or that child or that there is a God that loves them, there is a God that wants what's best for them? Do you think you can just sit down and go, well, here's what it says in the Bible and here's on the tip? It's not going to change their heart. So how do you reach someone like that? How did all of us, whenever we had walls up and we had to make that choice first of do we want to give our life to God? Do we want to trust in that? Came down to this brand being shown to us. That unconditional love, that head-scratching point that sometimes the kids will go out to places and, the church will rally around them and give them meals or there'll be gifts at times and some of the kids will look over at me and go, Mr. Chris, why are they being so nice to me? Do you know what I'll tell them? Because they don't know you. Because you're God's. And they want to reflect that same kind of love. You see, love is in a way this brand that each of us can understand. But not just that each of us can understand. You see, no one has ever seen God. But if we love one another, God lives in us and His love is made complete in us. 1 John 4:12. This word, this thing was so powerful to the disciples in this, the last supper when Jesus said it, that the whole book of 1 John is John trying to explain what did he mean by this. But here's another reason. It's the brand of a Christian. You see, in that love, in having that love and giving that love, it transforms us. Right, I'm going to need some other helpers. I'm going to need about 4 helpers and 4 people out there. Yes, you ma'am, Miss Haley. Yes, you two over there. What are your names again? Alan and... Okay, come on up. And we need 1 more. You got to help again on that. Oh, yes, come on down. Perfect. You guys get to come in for the fun part. All right, go ahead and hold that. Go ahead and hold that. And one more. What's your name? What is it? Oh, thank you for coming down. Okay. So we've been learning about what? One word, we've been learning love. And you know that God is what? God is love. In fact, in purest form, God was love, right? And God, He's perfect love, right? No blemish, no problem or other things. Now, a long time ago, there were these two people that were created. First one being Adam, and the next one being Eve. Oh, you guys have been to Sunday school, haven't you?
Actually, guess what?
And when God created them, He created in their likeness, right? And so Adam was created and he was what? He was perfect, right? And Eve was perfect without any problem. But then something happened. You know what this is? This is coffee, otherwise in my household known as the elixir of life, or to help wake you up for life in the morning. But it's going to represent something happened after creation. Do you remember what happened?
When Eve ate from the tree.
Yeah, they disobeyed, they ate from the tree of good and evil, and then what happened? What came into the world?
God.
Sin, right? So all of a sudden, this perfect love, all of a sudden sin came in, right? And now, all we have to do, right, is we have to, on our own, right, if we're good enough, if we do those things, right? So now, because God is perfect, right? Perfect love. And we, because of sin in the world, this is kind of what we look like. Even though God wants to be with us, can we be with Him? No, because if we were with Him, would He still be perfect in that? No. So we can't be with Him unless we too, right, have gotten sin out of our lives. So all we have to do is get the sin out of our lives. So here, go ahead. Can you just get all the sin out? Can you do that for me? She's like, no, you were right. You did very good. That was perfect. Because you know what? On our own, it's impossible. We can't get that sin out of our life. So what does that mean? Are we done for? You know, so when each of us were created, we were created in God's image. There you go. Hold on to that. You were created in God's image. You were created in God's image. And you were created in God's image. Now, have any of you ever done anything wrong? Remember, we're in a church. Well, you are very honest on this. So you've done certain things wrong, okay? And what about you? Have you ever sinned or done anything wrong? Yeah, okay, on there. Mom, Dad, should I keep going? No, okay, just kidding. And have you ever done anything wrong? Yeah. And did you ever do anything wrong? Oh, no, on that? Well, I'll just put a little bit in there then, because sometimes we do it and we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Yeah. So, in that, can each of you guys be with God? Be better. Uh-oh. Well, what are we going to do? You see, we have kids that show me or others, all of us in life, even though we were created perfect in the image of God. Some of it is choices we make. Some of it, we can't choose the parents or the life that we're born into. But somehow, we end up like this. So should we just throw it out? Is it done for?
Yes.
Well, see, God tells us that as Christians, what are we supposed to do? What is the new commandment God's given to us to what? Love. Who are we supposed to love?
Our neighbors, ourselves.
Love one another as Christ loved us. So what we do is we start pouring that love. Go ahead, pour it onto there, into other people, right? Now you go ahead and you start pouring love in, just like this church, which it's adopted different kids from different homes. Or maybe you've gone and you've helped people. Come on, go ahead and you pour in love. Now as we do that, as we pour in love to others, we have to be refilled. So who do we go back to get refilled? We go back to God. And God refills us. Right? He pours his love into us. Right? And you pour your love. Go ahead, pour it onto here. And all of a sudden, as we, oh yeah, she's got lots of love to give. Very good. And as we keep doing that, if we kept pouring in, you know what starts to happen? Though we couldn't pick through and take out that hurt, take out that anger or other things. As that love is poured into us and we pour it into others, it changes us. We become more like who?
God.
Like God. And I want you to look at your cups. Remember earlier with the sin, how it had changed you and your cups had gotten dirtier? But as you were pouring out your love, look at now at your cup. It's changing you. Huh? Oh yeah, it's still there. We can't do it on our own, and we can't give up. But here's the next thing. You remember that time where they were up in that Last Supper room? That's in John 13. Well, later on in John 15, see, the disciples... Well, Jesus said, I've got to go because he was going to show the greatest love. And they didn't understand it. And in fact, he said, where I'm going, you guys can't go yet. And they were like, well, wait a minute, just tell us the way we can do it. Or just tell us the answer. And Jesus said, no, you don't get it. I am the way. I am the truth. I am life. See, on our own, we can't do it. But with God, it changes. It says in John 15, there's a part that says, Jesus is like the branch. We're the branches, and he's the vine that connects in there. And he says if we are in him and he is in us, that we can ask whatever we wish and it will be, right? I always thought, how could something be in something and the other thing be in it? That seems impossible. Isn't that Mr. Physics person? That's impossible. But you know what? If God is that river, that ocean, and we are those streams that keep going back and that love continues, pours in. And we take that love, not inside the church, but outside the church into others. And we keep doing that. It goes back and forth. Is a stream in a river? Or is the river in the stream? But this river, the river's in the stream, but the stream's in the river. In the same way, just like with God. All right. Thank you, guys. Give them a round of applause. Good job. I'll see about a Coke later for you, Haley. Don't worry. We'll talk. All right, guys. You guys were great. Go ahead and sit back down. Guess what? You just taught all the adults. Good job. You see, that's the biggest part of the transforming love. I love history, and in my faith journey, there's been lots of parts where I've asked lots of questions, and I don't know where you are or how much you've heard, and people go, well, you can't believe in the Bible because this, and this, or how do we know this happened, or, within these things, and they'll argue all these points and say it's untrue, or we can't prove this. But you know what they can't argue? Not even the critics. Do you know what has had the biggest changing force on our world? What?
Finding of a lot of army stuff and kings and stuff in the Red Sea.
Even more than battles or other things. In fact, there's this place called Rome. It took control for 1,000 years. And nobody could defeat it from the outside. Armies came in and they kept being defeated and defeated. And do you know how they fell? They fell from the inside. Do you know what was a big part of that?
Because of
Christians. Even though in the very beginning when Jesus leaves and they're being persecuted and hunted, how did Christianity grow in such a big way? The thing that they can't argue is that Christianity has changed our world more than any other thing. How could a group from illiterate fishermen, if this isn't true, have such a power? How, even before we could say, these are the 66 books of the Bible, or this is the doctrine. Do you know what grew the church? Give you a hint, it's what we've been talking about.
Love.
Was love. You see, as people came, and if you didn't have a family within an area, you could be lost, because who was going to take care of you? If you were a widow and you had lost your husband, you had no means on that. If you were a child and didn't have parents, how would you take care of yourself? Excuse me, sorry, this is the one about on the changing. The Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he lives with you, and you will be with him. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. See, the world in the other times, they want to argue over whose obligation is it. Whether it's to help kids, whether it's to help within our neighbors. Is it the families? Well, it's their children. No, it's the schools. It's their responsibility. No, it's the government. And all of this, Christ said, it's not the obligation we need to be worried about. We need to see this is our opportunity to love, to show God, to show Christ. What you are doing as a partner with Show Me Christian Youth Home, we are compelled by Christ to rescue and restore young lives. It's the same story that it's always been. Families are struggling for many, many reasons. What happens when, today, do you realize that 25% of kids are being raised by their grandparents, their great-grandparents? 50% of kids, I read a statistic that said a grandparent will at least take care of one caretaking role at least one day a week. What happens when a 76-year-old who all of a sudden has dementia or Alzheimer's and no longer recognizes the grandchild? What option do they have? Because of you, because of people who are saying, we want to make sure there's always a place. There's a place like Show Me Christian Youth Home. We try to be the step before the state steps in for foster care or other things. We try to be an option that comes in and that starts by giving that home and family. Today, I'm honored to have one of our families with us, and I don't know if I can embarrass you guys. Can the Eads family stand up a second? This is the Eads family. I encourage you today to talk to them. Jeff, if you'd introduce the family. So.
Yes, I'm Jeff. This is my wife, Laura. This is Alexis, Joseph, Grayson, Tyner, and Keisha, and Athena. And we're very happy to be here.
Each of them come from different... Thank you, guys. You can sit down. I won't embarrass you just yet anymore on it. They're one of our families down at our homes in Barnett. And this is what a Show Me family looks like. A range of ages, a range of, we take kids birth through 18 plus years of age. Why do I say birth plus 18 plus? Because there is no aging out at Show Me. We don't say, okay, you're 18, boom, you're now off on your own. We don't want the kids stepping out until they're ready and until they have that foundation they need. Beyond the family, there's this bigger community to help. We have Christian counseling service available. So these are people who have their LPCs, the licensed professional counselors, but we want to make sure they're coming from a Christian worldview. So prayer is just as important as pills on helping the kids. There's a private school option that the kids can go and learn at their own pace. We have programs like Leadership U, which uses the training of horses and dogs to teach leadership skills, parenting skills. You know, when you try to teach kids, take a 16-year-old, for instance, and you say, do you ever think you're going to reach your fullest potential if you don't listen and are obedient to God, your master? You know what they're going to do? Whatever. I'm 16. I know what's best for me, right? But you take that same 16-year-old and I take him and I show him this dog. And I say, do you ever think this dog will reach its fullest potential if it doesn't listen to its master? Well, no. All of a sudden, by putting it in a different context, they can start to understand bigger things. We have a program called Path to Purpose, which not only tries to prepare kids for adulthood by helping them to see God uniquely created you in a way, and the way your mind works and the way you think. Have you ever thought about these careers, and helps them take steps from job shadows to internships to trying out careers and seeing if that'll work, to also helping them with learning life skills. They go through the Dave Ramsey financial course. They'll go through and learn cooking skills, because you know the quickest way to blow a budget as an adult is if you eat out all the time. But if you don't know how to cook, what other options do you have? Path to Purpose makes sure they have their driver's license so that they can get to and fro. And we help them take that next step, whether it's military, whether it's college, whether it's training school. But if we help these kids to become CEOs of a Fortune 500 company, we help them to go on to be president of the United States. But we take them anywhere short of heaven, of knowing Christ personally, we failed them. So at a core of what Show Me is in these homes, in these communities, in these churches, for them to see God's people and to see faith not in words, but in action. I told you to begin with, like many missions, Show Me started as individuals who had that burden on their heart. I encourage each of you, whatever the Spirit has put on your heart, to take that step of faith. Maybe it's foster care. Maybe it's, here within this community, helping elderly or helping homeless. Or maybe you're like me and you have a passion for kids and you want to get more involved with a place like Show Me. What Show Me is and what it's become, what started from that one single trailer. God had brought people, whether it was skill sets that they brought. Who was the gentleman who gave the devotion? What was your name again? Mike, he said? What he said about what we give to God, that first fruit. Maybe it's your talents. You come out to Show Me, and it's like a living testament of different things. From this house was a group from Michigan, who we had some electricians and skilled workers. If you come out and you see our pool, you're going to see a big deck around it. Well, that was a group from Ohio, ages 4 years old all the way up to 92 years old, who came out and put the decking around. 4-year-olds and the younger kids, they came out, and you know what was their mission? They played with our kids. They built relationships. The older people, maybe they were inside helping cook the meals. Everybody could do something. But that fingerprint of God is all over the place. I got involved with Show Me a little over 15 years ago because I had a daughter who, only girl, on two sides of the family. And I didn't realize this, but little girls are mommy and grandma's baby dress-up doll. And so every time somebody came to the house, they had a new dress or something for my daughter. And my daughter got to the point that when people came by, you know what the first words out of her mouth were? What'd you bring me? And I was like, no, I don't want you to have that kind of heart. So how do I teach this 5-year-old that she can have an impact for the kingdom, that she can be a part? And what I did is, we were going to go through her closet and see the things that she had outgrown. And I wanted her to be able to bless somebody with them. But I didn't want her to take a box in and just give it to the Sunday school teacher, because if she was doing that, she was doing it so that the Sunday school teacher said, good job, I wanted her to see who it could help. So we took it out to Show Me. And the kids were super excited, and she felt good, and people were saying things, and I'm sitting there going, I'm a good dad. Yeah, go me, right? God showed me I had no idea. You know what happened 3 weeks later? We're at church, and one of the girls from Show Me is wearing my daughter's Easter dress. And she is spinning around, and she's coming up to me, and she's so happy, and all of a sudden I feel this. Look. That's my dress. That's mine. She got it. She realized that dress, the blessing and what it meant to somebody else, was more than it ever meant in her closet or other things. it starts to change a heart. So maybe you're a parent and you're looking, how can I show my kids, even though they're a kid, they can still be a part of something? This is what Show Me is. Just people coming together and saying, here I am, Lord, in whatever way. It may be a family that says, we're not going to eat out once a month because we want to give a chance for these kids. And they read the newsletter and they go through on things. Today I encourage you, in your bulletin, I'm coming unprepared. In your bulletin is a little insert. I ask you to take a few minutes to pray, and if the Spirit leads you, I ask you just to write down your name. Maybe it's that you want to have information about volunteering, or maybe you know of a family that needs a place like Show Me, or maybe you're a prayer warrior. We need prayer covering. Right now, the greatest threat to Show Me isn't finances, it's legislation. It's that right now they're trying to put in certain legislation that says our model of faith and family, that we would have to change on part of that if we were going to continue to exist. We need those prayer warriors. If you don't know maybe where to start as you pray, I just ask you, maybe go and pick up our newsletter. It tells you some of the stories of the lives you've changed. But in it, I try to make sure to have a picture of every child that's a part of Show Me. Because maybe as you're looking through, there's a child or family that jumps out at you. And I would just encourage you and your family, will you make a commitment to pray for that child or family, or maybe the Eads family, for 1 month, like they were your family. See where the Spirit takes it from there. If you'd like to know more about Show Me, I encourage you, it's our annual report from last year, but it gives you an overview of Show Me, of some of the programs. There's a story in here of one of the young people who's gone on to, she's now a 911 operator and able to be the voice in the dark that she never had. This here brochure has nothing to do with maybe how you could help Show Me, but this is about how Show Me could help you. Maybe you know of a family who, there are multiple kids. One of the great things about Show Me is on our campus, we have 7 different homes in Lamont, all together. What allows us is we can take in big sibling groups. We can take in that family of 6. Now, they may not all be under the same roof, but they're still able to see each other daily. Sometimes for kids as they go through foster care, the hardest thing is not being able to be with siblings. If you know of a family that may need help, this brochure says, hey, we understand life can throw you curves. If you're at the point that you're worried the state may take custody or you're running out of resources, we want you to know there's hope. Long-term, short-term options, siblings to stay together. This tells you the kinds of kids that Show Me takes. We're not the right fit for everybody. If a child's a danger to themselves or others or sexually acting out, that blended family situation isn't best for them. They need something more. But it goes through the hard-to-ask questions. Who has custody? We don't have custody. All we have is power of attorney. So you don't have to go before a judge to get the child back. It compares Show Me to state, to private care. That if they feel like this is what they need, here are the steps to take. I told you earlier, one of the things that we try to show within a mission and with love is that everybody can do something. The kids, if you sign up to receive our newsletter or information, then there's no obligation there. But one of the cool things is, at Easter time and at Christmas, the kids make Easter cards and the Christmas cards. And in the Easter cards, they have these little bookmarks. And it's a simple reminder just to pray for the kids and families. But it's also their way of saying thank you. On the back, there's a number of different bookmarks I encourage you to see and maybe check one out. And just remember to pray for them. More than anything today, we're here to say thank you. You may never know the lives you're changing. That one young lady I told you about who, don't talk to me about God, I'm an atheist. What happened? She came, and over the first few weeks as she saw people and families coming out, she had that head-scratching moment of, why are they helping? You could be anywhere for vacation. Why do you want to come out here and sweat in the summer to help us? When her family was having meals together, and there in the middle of the night when she woke up, she had that head-scratching moment to see what a loving mother and father could be like. But what was the biggest change? You see, kids that show me, a lot of times they're able to talk with each other. And a lot of them come from similar backgrounds. And to talk with some of them, she said, how is it you can believe? One of the things about Leadership U is they learn to look at why we believe what we believe, what the evidence shows. And as she looked at it, and as she saw all these people who were supporting, and as she saw these different lives, and as she talked to these other kids, you know what she realized? She didn't have enough faith to be an atheist. She wanted the same hope that would allow you all who never know her to sacrifice for her. She wanted to have that same kind of hope and love. She decided to give her life to Christ. She was baptized. She graduated college or high school in 2019. I think she's graduating either this fall or coming spring. She's married. She lives in Arizona. Her husband's in the Air Force. Changing generations. That is what it means that this church has said we want to be a part. And for all those kids, all those lives that you'll never know or hear, we just wanted to come and say thank you. So thank you.